Hello everybody and welcome back to British English Pod with me, Lewis. And we're here for another relaxing, slow episode speaking about things related to language learning, the United Kingdom, or just stuff in general. And today I have chosen to speak about something that I assume you are very interested in. First of all, I'm going to mention a little bit of time management and about prioritizing. Then we're going to look at 10 different ways in which you can learn English and improve English and enhance your English learning skills, even if you don't have a lot of time. Because I imagine that you're all very, very busy people. You probably work full time. You might have children, you might have a part-time job, you probably want to spend time with your friends, your loved ones, you want to travel, you want to have a good, well-rounded and balanced life. Like everybody, it should be a human right to be able to work, but also have free time and be able to take advantage of that free time to be with the people you care about. So it is common that people might tell me, like, Lewis, I want to improve my English, but I just haven't got the time. Well, I feel for you, first of all, and I probably can understand you because I often struggle with time management, but it all comes down to prioritizing. It comes down to what matters most. So the most important thing to think about is, why do you want to improve your English? What is the goal with this? Is it because you want to move abroad? Is it because you've got an upcoming exam? Is it because you are going out with someone who speaks English and you want to communicate better with them and your future in-laws? What is the objective? What is the aim? What is the goal? And this is probably the most important thing you need to think about when you want to develop in any way professionally. If you want to upskill anything, think about the why. Why do you want to do it? What is the objective? What is the goal? So that's the first thing to consider, because if you cannot think of a clear goal, then it's going to be much, much more complicated to stick to a routine of improving your English. If you just say, my boss told me that I should improve my English. If this motivation isn't coming from you and it's not intrinsic motivation, then it's probably going to be tougher. It's going to be trickier to make it a part of your life. However, if you are learning a language because you love the language and you enjoy British culture or American culture, then I think, or at least I would bet, that you are going to be much more consistent because you're going to be practicing and improving your language skills because you enjoy doing it, because it's leisure for you. It is a hobby for you. So that is the first thing to consider. Because if you really want to do something, you will do it and you will make it a priority. And this is the key thing. And I've mentioned a few times that I live in Belgium. Here they speak French, but they also speak English and Flemish. But I haven't really got a clear reason why I want to really improve my French. And that's the reason why I'm unable to prioritize it. I cannot find the time in my busy schedule to fit in an hour of French every single day. I just can't do it at the moment. And that's okay. It's okay to admit that right now it's not the best moment, because that is my case at the moment. But speaking about yourself, if you really want to improve your English, you can find the time. We can always wake up an hour earlier. We can always stop doing something in order to do English. We can always kill two birds with one stone and practice your English whilst doing something else that you enjoy. In fact, this is a really good mantra and way of thinking that you should try to incorporate into your routine, just to make sure that English is always going to be a part of your life. So, for example, I love football, I love cooking, I love travel, I love watching random TV shows, and I enjoy reading the news. So these are 5 things that I do for fun. I do them because I enjoy doing them. So instead of doing these things in English, in my mother tongue, I should do them in a language that I want to improve. And of course, if I'm speaking about you, what you should do is, instead of doing all of these things in Spanish, in Japanese, in Arabic, in Portuguese, you should do them in English. So, in my case, because I like sport, usually I watch football matches in Spanish. Then, because I enjoy listening to podcasts, I listen to some podcasts in French. With the news, personally, I really like reading the news on BBC because I think it's the best news channel. And of course, it's related to my country. So I generally do this in English, I've got to admit. But from time to time, just to get a wider, let's say, insight and view of what different countries think, I will sometimes do them in French as well. So anyway, I'm rambling slightly, but the most important thing that you can do to make the most of your time to try to immerse yourself in English is by doing the things that you usually enjoy doing in your native language and switching them to do them in English. It might be a little bit tricky at the beginning, but trust me, I promise you, the more you do it, the easier it will become. As they say, practice makes perfect, or practice makes progress. So the hardest part is always going to be starting, because usually we have lots of excuses and reasons why we don't do something in the first place. But once you start, all of these obstacles and barriers become smaller and smaller, so you can overcome them much easier. So that's one thing. Just give it a go. Start doing the things that you usually do in your mother tongue in English, and let me know how it goes. But that's a bit of an introduction to the topic. And I'm actually going to list 10 different things that you can do, even if you don't have a lot of time to improve your English. And I'm taking inspiration from a blog post on my website. For those of you who don't know, I have a newsletter, and I send a newsletter once or twice per week with lots of articles and dialogues and idioms and expressions about different topics, with some gap fill exercises as well. If you want to sign up to my newsletter, there'll be a link in the video description, and feel free to ask me any questions. But alongside the newsletter, I also have a blog, which I'm not as consistent with, but there are a fair few articles that you can check out, and they're all related to language learning, the United Kingdom, and so on and so forth. And this article that we're going to kind of read out and discuss is called "Don't Have Time to Learn English? Yes, you do. And this is how." So this is me trying to write in a convincing manner. Not sure how it is, but you can let me know. So I'm going to read it out paragraph by paragraph and point by point. And I'm just going to give a little bit of extra information related to what it says. So here goes. Are you ready? Okay, I hope you're paying attention. So, learning English while juggling a busy life can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. With the right strategies, you can improve your English skills even if your schedule is packed with work, family, and other responsibilities. So, here are 10 practical tips to help you to learn English effectively, no matter how limited your free time is. So if you have very limited free time at the moment, stay tuned and listen to the end. Personally, my weekends are usually pretty free, and I'm actually recording this at the weekend. But for some people, they refuse to work or study at the weekend, and that's fine. Everybody needs to chill out and relax, but I always think, if you're not doing anything else, and instead of studying, you're just going to be drinking or lying down on the sofa, then why not take out, an hour of this time to do something productive? That is literally what I am doing at the moment. I'm recording this on a sunny Sunday, having gone for a nice walk around the city, through some different parks, and I thought, before I start relaxing and watching football and doing kind of nothing, I'm going to do one productive thing. And it's a nice mentality to have. So if you always think, okay, today I'm going to do something productive. And if it's related to language learning, I could say, today I'm going to do one thing in English. And that could be a series, a documentary. It could be having a little chat with someone, maybe recording yourself. You name it. It could be anything. So that's a little way of thinking that could help you to stay productive. All right, let's get on with the article and point number 1. And it is to turn commutes into learning time. So if you spend time commuting, use it to listen to podcasts, audiobooks, or language apps. This is an excellent way to immerse yourself in the language while making the most of your time on the go. By the way, vocabulary. The word commute as a verb or a noun means the travel time from your house to your place of work and vice versa. So I could say, I commute to London every single day. Or my commute takes me over an hour and a half. So the point here is to turn your commutes into learning time. If you get the bus, you get the train, you cycle, you walk to work, or you drive, this is always a great time to be listening to something. I hope, personally, that you start turning your commutes into British English pod time, and you're listening to me as you're stuck in traffic, or you're cycling along the river, wherever you might be. If I can be helping you improve your English at the same time, that would be an absolute privilege for me. And of course, don't just listen to me. There are many other amazing podcasts out there. And if your English language understanding is already very high and you want to kind of test yourself a little bit more, then I'd encourage listening to, let's say, normal podcasts that are designed for native English speakers about whatever topic you're into, rather than just depending on this kind of slightly slower type of podcast. But yeah, let me know if you do listen to any other podcasts when you are on the go. And that is the first point, turning commutes into learning time. How about we move on to number 2? And number 2 is related to the point that I was making in the introduction. And it's all related to goals, aims, and objectives. So number 2 is to set realistic goals. So rather than trying to learn everything at once, focus on small, achievable goals. For example, learn 5 new words a day or practice 1 grammar point each week. These small steps add up and accumulate over time. And I 100% agree with this about setting goals. I think it's absolutely integral and essential with language learning. I don't know if you have to be as specific as this example is saying, but I prefer to think of it as time. So how much time you will spend learning languages. It's like, for example, with many language learning apps, they will encourage you to set a goal of the amount of time you will spend using the app per day. And it might be 10 minutes beginner, 30 minutes amateur or intermediate, an hour genius or obsessed, anything like that. So you need to think about how much time you will realistically have in your normal daily routine to spend and dedicate to learning languages. And then at the end of the day, you can kind of tick off the things that you did. So let's imagine that your goals were listen to 30 minutes of a podcast, do 10 minutes of grammar, write one email, or spend 20 minutes writing. Let's say that those are your realistic goals. And at the end of the day, just to keep motivating yourself, you can tick them off and check them off where you think, okay, yes, that's another day down. It's like the whole thing with streaks that you might have on Duolingo. I've mentioned previously that my mum has like a 1,800 day streak on Duolingo. And this streak, I guess, it's addictive. You don't want to let yourself down. You want to continue to show up every day. And with your goals, I think it's important to do the same. Just to write down what you do and remember and ask yourself at the end of the day, okay, did I achieve my daily goals? Yes, perfect. Big smile on my face. If I didn't, I think, well, not to worry, no problem, but I'll make sure that I get back on track tomorrow. So that is number 2, setting realistic goals. Now, number 3, I've touched on this a little bit, and it is using language apps. Now, this one's slightly controversial because there are some apps that are good, other apps that I'm not too keen on. Personally, do I think that apps are the best way to learn a language? No, but I think they could be a nice way to add some fun stuff, just, to mix it up and have a bit of variety in your language learning. So, apps like Duolingo, Babbel, or Memrise, Lingo Clip, many other applications are perfect for learning in short bursts, short periods of time, because they provide quick lessons that you can complete during a lunch break, when you're in a queue, or, maybe if you're watching football and it's half time, in those 15 minutes, you can do a quick lesson. And there are many, many, many different language learning apps. I might make a separate video in the future about the ones that I actually recommend the most, but I think one of the best, let's say, paths to figuring out which ones work for you is just testing them. Test out an app for a week, see if you like it. If you don't, stop using it. The majority of these apps give you like a 7-day trial of the premium version. So 7 days is your perfect amount of time to test it out without paying anything. And then if you feel that it's really beneficial and it's really helping you, then subscribe, sign up, give them your money. So that is number 3. Use language apps. If you've got experience using different language apps, let me know which ones you would recommend the most. In my case, I think they're fun, but they are much more for beginners and pre-intermediates rather than upper intermediates and advanced level students. So it's great to build the house and kind of have a foundation in your language learning. But once you get conversational, I don't think they're going to give you that much value, to be honest. All right. Number 4, and it is to integrate English into your daily routine. For example, You could label items around your home with their English names with like post-it notes, or write your shopping list in English. These little small changes reinforce vocabulary, make learning a natural part of your day, and also help you to realize what your weaknesses are and help you to realize which types of vocabulary or grammar you're not that confident with. So there you had a couple of examples, but there are many things that we can do to just integrate English into your routine. Of course, one of these things would be joining my group classes or private classes. That would be a great way of thinking, okay, every Monday or every Wednesday, I have an hour of English. And also with my group classes and anyone who signs up to my classes, we have a private WhatsApp community where pretty much every day I send extra material, voice notes, and lots of things to just push your English level to push your English to the next level. So that's one option. Other options would be just chatting with your friends on WhatsApp in English. Also recording yourself as if it was like a vlog. You can also write a diary in English. And then the other typical things that I've mentioned multiple times, like immersing yourself with any kind of media, is always going to help you to integrate English into your daily routine with reading the news, listening to podcasts, watching series, and so on. So integrate English into your daily routine. Easy. Doesn't sound too hard, does it? All right, number 5 is the one I go on and on and on about. And it is to watch TV shows or movies with subtitles. So choose English language shows or movies you enjoy and watch them with subtitles in English. This will improve your listening skills and also show you any new vocabulary that you didn't previously know. Now, on this note, I created a few weeks ago now. Was it a few weeks ago? I don't remember. In the last few episodes of this podcast, one of them was me recommending 15 different British English TV shows that you should watch to really find out what British English is like, because there are many different types of British English and many different accents. So I offered you 15 different suggestions. Hopefully you've started watching some of them. And I also answered the question of subtitles or no subtitles in that episode. For me, even if you have a really, really high level, I personally recommend always using subtitles, because you don't have to read the subtitles all the time, but when you see or hear any tricky words or phrases, then you can very quickly glance and see, okay, that word was dodgy, and then just take a note. So by doing this, something so fun like watching TV shows and so relaxing, it can still be relaxing in English, trust me. But at the same time, you are learning. Again, you're killing two birds with one stone. So number 5 is to watch TV shows, series, films with subtitles in English and, of course, in original version. Lovely. Now we're moving on to number 6, and this is to join online language communities. Or I would rephrase that and say join online communities in general. So you can participate in forums, social media groups, online meetups where people practice English. There are websites like Reddit or language exchange apps like Tandem, and these can help you to connect with other learners and native speakers. So then, even if you don't have English-speaking friends, you can make them with online communities. And these online communities don't have to be language-based. And I'd go as far as saying that it could be better if they are not language-based. You should find online communities that are kind of built around a hobby that you love. A few examples. Let's say you love baking, or you love planting vegetables in your garden. I am 100% sure that you will be able to go on Facebook and go on the groups tab and then search gardening enthusiasts or baking experts. These are two random phrases, but I'm sure you could join one of these groups, make sure that these groups are kind of organized in English so that people will be asking questions in English. They will be writing posts in English as well. So if you are doing this, you are basically creating an artificial world in which you are living in Australia, South Africa, Canada, and you are part of the gardening community over there. Thanks to the internet and social media, we don't actually have to live in a country to feel like we belong in that country. And the opposite applies as well. Many people will move to different countries and then they won't really connect with the local culture, the local habits, the local people. I kind of do this here in Brussels because a lot of my friends are Spanish. So I'm not the best example of this. But if you really want to, you can always find an online community that you can join and you can speak about something that you're interested in. And if you're doing it in English, then you're practicing your English without actually studying English at the same time. So that is number 6, to join an online community and mingle with the people who are in that community. To mingle is like to chat and connect and to reach out to them, get in touch with them, and introduce yourself and ask questions about the other people. So yeah, mingle with people in online communities. Excellent. Now, number 7, it is practice speaking in short bursts. If you're busy, try speaking English for a few minutes each day. You can talk to yourself, you can record your voice, you can use voice chat features in language apps, but consistent speaking practice builds confidence and fluency. One of the things that I do with my students on my WhatsApp community is that I send voice notes and I try to encourage them and motivate them to send voice notes as well. Because genuinely, when you're about to send a voice note, it's really good practice. And there are many times when I'm sending a voice note to people and I'm like, oh no, I didn't want to say that. And I'll repeat it. And I'll realize that I've made a little mistake in Spanish on my voice note. So I was like, God damn it. So then I delete it and I send it again. And whether you're aware of it or not, this is really good practice without the possibility of people judging you in the moment for making mistakes, because you're able to delete it or alternatively press send. So I think recording your voice with voice notes to different people is an excellent tactic, and you should do it when you want to actually convey a message to friends. So just, even if your friend is Italian and you are German, just send voice notes to each other in English. It's going to be good practice. And obviously, you can use many apps to do the same thing. You can do it with ChatGPT, and it is revolutionary. It's amazing. You're going to have a lot of benefits, trust me. And I think it's great to use ChatGPT as a support and a little bit of help. But I wouldn't advise only using ChatGPT. I think it's nice to have human connections as well, whether that's with colleagues, friends, or family. So that's number 7, and it is to practice speaking in short bursts. So even if it's a day when you wouldn't usually speak English, just record yourself at the end of the day and kind of recap and review what you did during that day, or give your opinion on something that happened during that day. Nobody needs to listen to it if you don't want them to. You can just record as a way of practicing. So there is no judgment or no prejudice. Cool. We're now moving on to number 8, and it is listen to English music. I'm sure the majority of you are already listening to English music, but hey, if you're not doing it, then this is your wake-up call to start doing it. Because you can create a playlist of English songs and learn the lyrics. And singing along helps with pronunciation, with vocabulary, and with rhythm. And, well, it's a fun way to learn at the same time. I don't know if this is proven by science or anything else, but I find that a lot of musicians and a lot of singers are very good at speaking other languages. And it's perhaps because they're used to singing in different languages since they were young, and this allows them to be aware of the sounds they're making when they're pronouncing different things, and naturally they have rhythm. Something that I do not have at all. At all. I have zero rhythm. I cannot dance to save my life, and I'm terrible at singing. But recently I've kind of enjoyed doing a bit of karaoke, because I'm not bothered what people think. I don't care what people think anymore. I think I've got to that point in my life where what people say doesn't really bother me anymore. I'm just like, meh. If they want to say something and be stupid, then that just kind of has a bad effect on them, not on me. So going to a karaoke place and singing an English song is a great way to practice your English. But it's not just that. On Spotify, when you're listening to music, you can always follow along to see the lyrics at the same time. And if you are doing this, but you still want to practice a little bit more, you can check out a free application called Lingo Clip. And it used to be called Lyrics Training. You can also use it on your computer. But basically, with this, you can choose different songs in different languages, and then you select the level, easy, medium, or hard, and you watch the YouTube video of the song, and then you fill in the gaps of the lyrics as you are listening. And if you don't understand any of the lyrics, you can just press down on that word or phrase, and it will give you a translation into your language. So Lingo Clip / lyrics training is a fantastic free resource that you can check out. So now we're coming towards the end of this video podcast, and we are at number 9, and it is to read short English articles or stories. Even if you only have 5 minutes, read an English article, a blog post, or a short story. Platforms like News in Levels offers news articles adapted for different levels of English proficiency. And it's not only that website. If you also Google Breaking News English, it's a really good free platform that a lot of English teachers use to help in lesson planning. But basically, anyone can use this free information to practice your English. So that is Breaking News English. And basically, what they do is they take a very short article from whatever's happening in the world at that moment. They try to add a lot of variety in the topics to prevent it being too monotonous and kind of boring and repetitive. But they'll start with a story. Then you'll have different activities to fill in the gap, to match synonyms, to kind of unscramble the letters. So you've got free activities with answers that you can do, and just read the short articles that come in different levels as well. So that's something that is a really good way of practicing. But the easiest thing, in my opinion, is just downloading the BBC News app on your phones and try to read one article per day, for example. And if you feel like the news is always the same, which sometimes it can be, and it is, then you can kind of dial in and focus on specific niches. And you can do this with newsletters. So as I mentioned, I have a newsletter. You can sign up, but there are many other people and businesses that create their own newsletter as well. So if there is a company that you feel inspired by or a person that you look up to, have a look and see if they have a newsletter in English, because the chances are that they will have one. So then you can sign up to their newsletter, and then every week or twice per week, you'll receive a new newsletter in your inbox, and that's your moment to think, oh, okay, perfect. I'm going to read it. If I don't understand any of the words or phrases, I'll look them up and write them down in my notes for later. So, number 9 is read short English articles or stories. This could be blog posts, the news, newsletters, and much more. All right, last but not least, number 10 is to find a language partner or a tutor. So, a tutor would be someone like me, an English teacher or coach. And if you are interested in having classes with me, then send me a message, and you can write me an email as well at lewis at englishwithlewis.com. The downside with finding a teacher or a tutor is that maybe not everybody can afford them. And that's fine. If you are unable to afford having classes with a teacher, you can look for a language partner. And you can do this on italki, Conversation Exchange, or just interacting with different people, commenting on my videos, for example. You can check in with them, send them a message and be like, hey, do you want to have a conversation once per week? And you can do this just about different topics to, meet someone new, get to know them, and have a time in the week when you're going to speak English. I always suggest to my mum that she should be doing this with my mother-in-law. So my mum wants to improve her Spanish. My mother-in-law wants to improve her English. So I'm always telling them, like, come on, guys, why don't you get together a couple of times per week? One day you speak in English, the other day you speak in Spanish, and that way you can teach each other for free. What's not to like? They have the best of both worlds. So that is a good thing you can do. If you know someone who wants to learn your mother tongue while you want to learn their mother tongue at the same time, be insistent. Send them some messages and tell them, like, hey, are you up for it? Do you fancy doing it? And this way, if they agree to do it, you can have regular speaking sessions with someone else for free, just in exchange for your own knowledge and expertise, which is your language. So number 10 is to find a language partner or conversation exchange or a tutor like me, for example. Okay, that's pretty much it for today, but some final thoughts before I call it a day. Learning English with limited time is all about consistency and creativity. By incorporating English into your daily life and making use of small pockets of free time, you can make steady progress without feeling overwhelmed. Remember, every little effort counts, and over time, those small steps will lead to big improvements. So, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's video podcast, and let me know which of these tips are you already using, and are there any tips that, well, you'd like to start using in the near future? I'd be eager to find out. And once again, thank you everybody for listening or watching, and sign up to my newsletter if you'd like classes with me. Send me an email or just book your classes. So, see you later, guys, and, well, thank you again. Bye-bye.